Sheriff's deputies and U.S. Marshals arrest a Victoria man today. A groundbreaking ceremony celebrating the construction of Victoria College's new Student Success Center took place this afternoon. And dealing with domestic violence in the Crossroads.
Our temperatures are going to feel very spring-like for the next couple of days, but the big weather is coming at us from the west coast over the next week, and it's going to be very mild. So we'll be talking about that coming up in just a moment.
And it's a Hoops Tuesday, but we talked to a Spurs legend. Hear from him in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia has the night off. Victoria County Sheriff's deputies and the U.S. Marshals Service Task Force arrested a suspect in Victoria today. 25-year-old Elijah Aragon was taken into custody in the 3200 block of Mayfair on a warrant for violation of parole, sexual assault of a child. Aragon is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $60,000 bond. Two suspects accused of the same crimes were taken into custody by Victoria Police Monday. 21-year-old Erasmo Garcia and 18-year-old Rico Macias are charged with deadly conduct, discharge of a firearm, and tampering or fabricating physical evidence with intent to impair. Those two are in the Victoria County Jail. No bond set on those charges. An Amber Alert was issued around 4:20 p.m. for a missing 14-year-old girl, Scarlett Smith. She was last seen in a red hoodie. The suspect is 22-year-old Barry Ben Van Mersbergen. They were last seen in a tan 2012 GMC Terrain with a handicap license plate number 3RVWG. If you have any information on their whereabouts, call 911. An update to a fire that happened last night in the 2000 block of East Power Avenue near Avenue D. The Victoria Fire Department ruled the home a total loss. Police say the fire started when fiber optics workers hit a gas line. 3 people were inside the home at the time, but everyone got out okay and no one was hurt. Victoria College has big plans on their agenda. This afternoon was the beginning with the groundbreaking ceremony for their biggest project, a Student Success Center. 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick visited the ceremony hosted by the college's Board of Trustees. And Adarius, how was the turnout this afternoon?
Well, Don, the community showed up in support of the new building. However, Dr. Jennifer Kent says the celebration is for the students also, not just the building.
To understand the purpose of this very building, you must first understand our students. And you have to understand why it is that they're here. So for us to help a student, they need to have a strong sense of belonging right here on campus. And more than anything, they have to have belief that they can finish.
Dr. Kent spoke about the average student on campus, or in her words, Mary. She explains how Mary would benefit from the Student Success Center.
A student at Victoria College is a 27-year-old female. We've named her Mary. As a parent, she works 1 or more jobs, and she attends college part-time because she's still paying the bills and buying groceries and keeping food on the table for her children.
The new building houses various services, including a library, food center, counseling, and more. All these things in one place could save a student like Mary some time. If she saves time on campus, she has more time for the family.
And we're going to build a Student Success Center.
VC Board of Trustees Chair Bland Proctor is more than excited for the new center. The Board of Trustees approved a $33 million budget for the building. 76% of the funding came from grants and donations. The rest stemmed from a $10 million bond approved back in the May 2023 election. VC wanted the community to know this bond would help Victoria residents and students in the long run.
They come to school here, they graduate, and they get jobs leading to upward economic mobility right here in the Crossroads region.
While Victoria College does have other projects on their agenda this year, the Student Success Center is set to open in 2025, just in time for the college's 100th anniversary. Don, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Adarius, and let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. Another excellent weather day, Mac. How long is the streak continuing?
Well, it's going to be a while, I tell you. We've had a major pattern change over all of North America, and what I can say it real simply. Winter is gone, Pacific storms are coming. Why do we care about Pacific storms? Because eventually they'll cross the Rockies and move up into this area. And as long as they keep spiraling like this, we get warm air on top of us. So winter might be gone. And we'll talk more about that coming up in just a moment. Don, back to you.
Thank you. Early voting in Victoria for the February 3rd mayoral election ended Tuesday. The numbers from the Victoria County Election Administrator look like this. 533 people voted in person early Tuesday, 2,119 total in-person votes. One mail-in vote was received Tuesday, a total of 274 mail-in votes cast. Election day for the Victoria mayoral election is this Saturday. 14 polling centers will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On the ballot, Peter Brown, Carissa Winters, Josephine Solis, Dwayne Crocker, Jacob Sauceda, and Bob Constantine. Join us this Saturday for complete coverage of the special mayoral election. Domestic violence is the #1 reason women and children become homeless. Jenny Stafford with Midcoast Family Services says they have the ability to help anyone in need at no cost. Midcoast Family Services sees about 400 women and children every year at their domestic violence shelter. She says the stigma of asking for help has lessened over the years, but domestic violence is still hard for many to accept.
Very often a victim will try to cover up or normalize the behavior. They may really love this person that's being abusive to them. And so it's hard for them to accept that it's actually abuse and it's not normal behavior.
Stafford says if anyone finds themselves in a violent situation, they should take the first step to a better life by calling the Midcoast Family Services hotline 361-573-HELP. The Victoria Fire Department's interim chief is retiring. Shannon Martin joined the department at 18 years old. On July 18, 1987, Martin was promoted to fire engineer in 1992. Then in 1996, he was promoted to fire lieutenant, supervising a fire company. In 2005, he was promoted to battalion chief, overseeing a full fire shift. Then in 2016, he became the assistant fire chief in charge of fire department operations. Last year, he took on the role of interim fire chief following the retirement of Chief Tracy Fox. The state Supreme Court will hear challenges to ban transition-related care for children. You can read the Texas Tribune article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube, and stay with us coming up on 25 News Now at 10. Police arrested a father and son in San Diego after a school shooting threat. Also ahead, a Carnival cruise ship veered off course to rescue 2 kayakers stranded in the Gulf of Mexico.
21 Bravo combat engineer, Army veteran David Christopher Barber is your military hero for the month of January and your first military hero of 2024. Chris moved down to Ostwell, Texas from St. Louis, Missouri, and quickly adapted to the Texan lifestyle, working on a ranch.
I worked for the O'Connor Ranch for 2 years and had no idea what I was getting myself into, breaking horses and trapping hogs and, seeing all the deer out there.
Once he and his girlfriend moved to Victoria, Chris knew he needed something more long-term for work, so he went to an Army recruiter and joined the service in 2004. He even scored high on the ASVAB, so he became an engineer with a pretty surprising job placement.
Well, once I got there, it was C4 explosives blowing up IEDs, and so I got to do a lot of that. We were trained to disarm mines buried underground, anti-tank mines. I got to take a metal detector, was part of my inventory, and it was one that would, it was extendable, and so on the roadside, I'd be looking for IEDs. You got to be a little special crazy, to be doing that crap. And I'd find them, and then I'd place C4 on top of it and blow it in place.
Chris frequently finding bombs.
Find 55-gallon drums buried in palm groves where kids play, where these people get all their, dates from these palms. We'd find 55-gallon drums, and they would be plastic, not metal. But the metal clasp that held the lid closed would detect. And so I picked that up. And we'd pull out tons of African 155 rounds this tall. We'd find cell phones, SIM cards, computers.
So Chris was on the front lines of the Iraq War looking for bombs as well as doing missions with his fellow soldiers, some getting pretty dicey, like his very first mission.
By infill and exfil is when you take a helicopter, Black Hawk or Chinook, and you and 20, 30 other guys get out at nighttime with your night vision goggles on, and you get to complete your mission. And I'd say I've got 60 missions like that, where you get to see your buddy across, in another helicopter flying in. My first mission, I got my combat action badge because a surface machine gun round went through our hull, and I had 15 blocks of C4 on me. And so the flares go off, it turns bright because you have your night vision on, and we did our mission. We got in firefights, a few IEDs blew up, but we're all on foot. There's no vehicles to set these IEDs off.
Chris ended up spending nearly 4 years in Iraq, and by the end of it, he was ready to come home. He did leave with some memorable moments.
I got to meet Kid Rock, Robin Williams, who else? That was pretty cool. But there's never a shortage of food for the military guys, unless you're eating MREs on a mission or something like that. But if you were back on post, your base, you got to eat really well and work out. They always had first-class gyms.
The food was pretty good too.
Well, if we're talking MREs, MRE, the pastas are always the best. You can't go wrong. Something with noodles and sauce in it. But if you were going to try and judge the meat that they give you in those things, it's terrible. Yeah. But no, I think sometimes they'd have crab legs and steaks, not like a Texas steak. Here you got mesquite wood and stuff, but over there it wasn't like that. It was like different. But I would always get a turkey wrap.
In his free time, he loves to help out with Warriors Weekend here in Victoria and spend time hunting and fishing, as well as spending time with his family. Thank you, Chris, for your service to your country, and thank you to all the veterans and active duty military members out there watching. I'm Adam Seibel, KAVU TV 25 News Now.
Police arrested a high school student and his father today after they say the teen threatened to shoot up a San Diego high school. Police responded to a residence just blocks away from a high school after receiving several reports that the teen told other students he planned a shooting for today. At the home, several guns and explosives were seized, including rocket-propelled grenades. The teen was arrested, as well as his 45-year-old father, who is booked on several charges. The Texas Supreme Court has temporarily halted depositions that were scheduled to begin Thursday in the whistleblower case against Attorney General Ken Paxton. The Texas Tribune reports the court issued an order Tuesday staying the depositions and giving the parties until February 29th to respond with their broader legal arguments. A Carnival cruise ship went out of its way to rescue two stranded kayakers off the coast of Mexico near Cancun. On Monday, the two men said their boat sank and they had to stay afloat on kayaks. By their good fortune, they were seen by the Carnival Jubilee and were quickly rescued.
So I was actually sleeping, and then I kind of felt the ship coming to a full stop, which is kind of weird when you're on a cruise, right? It should be at cruising speed, right? So I looked out, I'm like, is there something going on? Is there someone overboard, right? I look, and lo and behold, there is a kayak, right? I'm like, what are these people doing in the middle of the sea? Of course, we're off the coast of Mexico, very close to Cancun.
Medical staff evaluated the two men before a transfer was set up between the Mexican Navy. The cruise ship then continued toward Mahogany Bay to finish the rest of their journey. Join 25 News Now anchor Karina Garcia for the 2024 Crossroads Heart and Stroke Walk. The event takes place this Saturday at 8 a.m. The walk will start at 8:15 at Riverside Park, located on 311 Memorial Drive. To register or donate, visit crossroadsheartwalk.org to sign up. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote now. Here's the question. Do you plan to attend the Heart and Stroke Walk at Riverside Park Saturday, yes or no? It looks like 93% say no. We thank you for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part.
And 7% say yes, they'll be there with Karina. All right, folks, well, it's 52 degrees, not particularly cold. I mean, it is the end of January. We managed to get up to 72 today, and guess what? For the rest of the week and maybe even all of next week, we're going to stay around 70, 72 degrees. The only thing is we may have some rain early on Saturday morning, so we'll be watching that and telling you where it's coming from coming up in just a moment. Well, good evening, everybody. I had another beautiful day. You got to admit the temperatures were very comfortable. If you were outdoors, you probably know what I'm talking about. Only had a few little high clouds that rolled through the area late in the afternoon, but they're gone. As a matter of fact, we're going to have clear skies tonight, and because clear skies, high humidity, and cooling temperatures, we may actually have some fog by sunrise, so watch out for that. As I mentioned earlier, we've got to look at the West Coast for the next week and a half. There's system number one. It's not going to be much of a factor, but out here in the Pacific, these are, I wouldn't bring this up. It wasn't huge. This is a huge Pacific storm and a very fast jet stream that's bringing all these storms that are going to hit the West Coast. This is similar to last year when in fact, in the next week, they're probably going to be getting 10 to 15 inches of rain along the entire West Coast. Of course, that big snows for the West goes over the Rockies and then rolls into our area. Now, they're going to weaken over the Rockies, but the factor is here. Whenever you see the winds coming up, now these are the upper winds, coming up like this, you mean they're bringing in Pacific moisture. And what time of year is it in the Pacific? It's El Nino. So all this water is warmer than normal. So all that is all affecting your weekend and your week, because we can say if this stays together, there's not going to be any winter-like weather, at least for 2 weeks. And that puts us into mid-February. See how it works out? Overnight, we're getting down into the mid-40s, as you see right about there, not particularly cold. And tomorrow, another really good day, getting up 69, 70 degrees, 70 out west, and a couple of 67s down along the immediate coast. We're looking at a 61 down at Rockport. What's going on? Well, they're getting, of course, that sea breeze blowing up as well. So all things considered, we've got some very nice weather for at least 2 more days. As we talked earlier, the river flooding is going to be decreasing by tomorrow. As a matter of fact, the trend is already downstream. Here's today. You can see it right there. And you can see how we peaked yesterday, and now it's coming down. And tomorrow it'll be down here, and then it'll be, all the river water will be back into its river, into its banks, and we've got no significant rain. Now, we do have rain on Saturday morning, and we'll talk more about that. Now, here's what I've been trying to say. All of the central part of the country is going to have no winter weather. I mean, it'll be cool in some spots, but temperatures are going to be ridiculously above normal. In fact, the Midwest will be in the 60s in January, because the pattern is now that everything is on the West Coast. That huge storm that you see right there, that's number 1 of 3, maybe 4 storms. And so they're going to be reeling along Oregon, Washington State. This particular system will cross the Rockies and will, by Friday night, start moving into Texas. On Saturday morning, it rolls right through your neighborhood. So, are you going to be outside walking with Karina at the Heart Walk? Shelby, we better talk to her about that. But then it clears up in the afternoon, and the rest of the day, all into Sunday, is going to be fairly nice. Our temperatures tonight will get down into the upper 40s and a few low 50s. Tomorrow, 70 in Port Lavaca. And then as we get to Cuero, they're getting up to 73, so balmy weather. So it stays nice for Wednesday and Thursday. It's not until late Friday night when that shower activity comes through. Saturday morning, I do expect some thunder showers to be rolling through with that fast-moving front. That's your 7-day forecast. Hope you had a great evening. We've got, of course, a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And now, Zach Brown with sports.
Bloomington looking for a big win at home, and we spoke to a San Antonio Spurs legend. I'll have that in sports. The St. Joseph girls tipped off at 5 p.m. over at the Flyer Dome, trailing 12-11 after the first quarter. But once the second quarter began, they answered almost immediately with a bucket to take a 13-12 lead. They would not look back. They go on to win 50-29, only allowed 8 second half points. Maddie Stefka led the way with 11. Bella Mikas and Bridget Bluda followed that up with 8 points apiece. The girls chasing a playoff spot helped that cause tonight. The boys did not have that same fortune. They do fall to TMI Episcopal 85-61, still searching for that first district win, but a few players did have some nice games. And by the way, the head coach of the Episcopal Panthers, well, that will be the 3-time NBA champion and Spurs legend, Bruce Bowen. We caught up with him after the game. He says coaching, much more than just wins.
My mission, especially in the private school sector, is for our kids to be able to approach each obstacle in life and look at it dead on and not feel any type of intimidation or any nervousness as far as, oh my, I might not get the job or I might not get this. I want them to be able to show up place and be like, you know what, I put in the work, I'm prepared, now just let the chips fall where they may. I just want them to have the heart of lions that God has blessed them with and go from there.
He talked a lot about teaching kids to overcome obstacles and teaching the game the right way. One team that is getting taught the game the right way, the Bloomington boys and girls who continue their impressive seasons. The boys trying to win a district title will likely need some help. The community showing up, repping the green and white. Early on, the Bloom trailing by 2. The layup no good, but Sean Darby puts it in to tie the game. A few possessions later, Bloomington is going to execute a perfect inbounds play, and Sebring Taylor splashes one from downtown to give Bloomington the lead. And on that trip down the court, great defense under the basket by Sean Darby. It's going to lead to this coast-to-coast finish. And after he gets this finish, they're going to follow that up with some smothering defense. They go on to win in overtime, 46-37. The Bloomington girls also get a much-needed district win as they continue their chase for the playoffs. Haley Gardner with 15 of the Lady Cats' 44 points. Kylie Proctor had 16 of those 44. Impressive stat lines there. In Edna, some Jackson County action. The girls chasing Hallettsville for first place get a big win over the Lady Cobras, 39-24. Girls winners of 3 in a row. And for the first place Edna boys, same thing, big win over Industrial as well. Final score 70-58. They got a gigantic game against Rice Consolidated on Friday. Rice chasing Edna for first place. They are back one game, and Edna, of course, trying to keep them away. The Lady Gobblers went into Lavernia and delivered some bad news to the Bears. They win 45-43, and with that win, they are your district champs with still 2 games left to play. Both of those games will be in Cuero at the Roost. And Don, I was over at Victoria East as well. They put up 93 points tonight, 93-17 victory over Ray. Back to you.
Ooh,
yeah.
It was 50-3.5.
Not a nail biter. Congratulations to the East girls. Thank you, Zach, and stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 10, we'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, sonar imagery may have revealed Amelia Earhart's long-lost plane. Astronomers have discovered a new type of star. It's called an old smoker. They are old and giant and stay inactive for decades, fading into the night. Once they're almost invisible, they start emitting clouds of smoke and dust. Researchers could not see them before because they're in the center of the Milky Way, but a type of telescope in the Andes Mountain can detect the stars. Still, they are not sure what happens to old smokers after they're done releasing smoke. Researchers believe these sonar images could be Amelia Earhart's long-lost plane. Earhart and her navigator went missing nearly 87 years ago in an attempt to fly around the world. Now, a deep-sea exploration company says sonar imaging has revealed what may be her plane. The imagery was taken about 100 miles from Howland Island and is 16,000 feet below the surface. I love science. I really get into science.
It's going to be fascinating if they
And
find it.
speaking of science.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Our good friend Trey Mining was out there with his kids doing science fairs today. We congratulate the kids from Roland Elementary.
Yes, sir.
I believe they're the Road Runners, I believe.
I think so.
I believe they're
Yes.
the Road
How about
Runners.
that?
And Trey was out there with his little gadgets for science fair, trying to get kids excited about that. Of course, that's our camera, and he's shooting video of something. That's the thing, you know, when you're the host, you can't shoot video of yourself.
Not just any
That's
camera.
right. Yeah.
Tom Brubaker used to use that.
Well, yeah, I mean, he may be shooting a future meteorologist. You know, maybe.
I think he was letting him do the weather there. you know?
Yes. Yes. Maybe someday he'll be here doing the weather.
So congratulations to Trey to getting out there with the kids and getting them excited about class. It's so easy when you're visiting because you can get the kids pumped up.
Oh, the kids are fired up.
When the teacher's there, they go, same thing.
The students have so many questions.
They
about
do.
it.
They
Oh,
do. Terrific.
They really do.
Well, we have a couple of days of nice weather. That would be your Wednesday, Thursday. But Friday gets real interesting. It's going to be very windy and warm, probably mid-70s. And then Friday night at midnight, the front comes through with possibly some thunder showers. We may hear a little thunder and lightning coming in with that system. So we'll certainly be watching it as we get closer to the weekend, but it would be gone by Saturday at noontime. So half of Saturday and all of Sunday are going to be very nice.
Mag, thank you. And finally tonight, go to the Coco. It's time to snuggle up with a couple of hot chocolate because tomorrow is National Hot Chocolate Day. Make some at home or stop by a coffee shop for one. Feel free to top it with whipped cream or marshmallows and celebrate the day. Obviously, the weather we're having is not exactly hot chocolate day.
January and not hot chocolate
But
day.
if you were given a choice, you two, marshmallows or whipped cream on top?
Marshmallows.
Marshmallows.
I like to eat them.
You like to eat them? Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to have to go with you on that one.
two for marshmallows. I'll take the whipped
But
cream.
not water in my hot chocolate like they did. Put some milk in there.
Milk's got to have
man.
milk.
Well,
Gotta have
call
that
them and tell them.
consistency.
It's just water over the cocoa. All right. Thank you, gentlemen, and thanks for joining us for 25 News Now at 10. Join Carolina Astroim, meteorologist Parker Cox. 25 News Now Sunrise starting at 5 a.m. Good night. Enjoy your hot chocolate.